This video is made for adult collectors because you like jazz. Jazz. He is a very interesting character who gets some pretty neat toys most of the time. Over the years, he's been kind of absent from like the big mainstream media, but has had a plethora of different types of toys. Yes, these are all deluxes that become car-looking things, but the way that they achieve that is different between each Jazz. Here we have Reveal the Shield, Power of the Primes, 86, and Origins. And yes, the Reveal the Shield one is actually the gift set version and it kind of looks like it's based off the G2 figure. So these four are interesting. One of them isn't great. The rest kind of vary from pretty good to fuck that's nice. But in release order, 2010 Jazz. This Jazz is very strange, but cool. I've never owned one till recently, and it's a very solid figure, minus one issue people don't mention very often, at least to me, that really gets on my nerves. The chest does not tab in, so moving the arms does this a lot. It's remedied by holding the chest, but like it's annoying, but at the same time it's the only issue I have with the robot mode. Everything else about it is just nice. The lack of ankle tilt aside, it feels like a pretty modern figure with its articulation and things it can do. He is a large deluxe, which is funny because he just shrinks in car mode. I love the segmented arms, the vent grills on the legs and the door wings, and the head sculpt is nice. You can also flip out the speakers around on its doors to like blast memes at people or something, I don't know. He also comes with a tiny black gun, which can hold the speakers too if you want him to shoot memes at people, I don't know. So the articulation on this thing is mostly modern. There's just like, it doesn't have ankle tilts, but it's still pretty good. Sorry, I have an itchy nose, itchy nose. To start with, you have the head is on a ball joint. There's not a lot of tilt it can do, but it can look down that far, up that far, and can rotate. The wings can flap. The shoulders are on ball joints, so they can go wherever you want. And then if you're not holding the chest, so the chest just moves. You do have bicep rotation. You have double jointed elbows. However, they have to be bent like this, first at the middle and then at the top. Otherwise, they just don't go any further if you bend them at the bottom first. Then the wrists are on ball joints so they can swivel and they can tilt and do all sorts of stuff. You do have a waist joint. The hips are on universal joints so they can go forward, back, in and out, thigh rotation. Double jointed knee that really only accomplishes 90 degrees. And then the feet can go backwards and forwards. So he's pretty all right posing wise. He's a bit awkward just due to how like his limbs are structured and how everything is shaped. Now I'll do transformations in one big thing, but up next they made Fall of Cybertron Jazz, of whom I don't have and probably never will because his knees explode. So Power of the Primes. This Jazz is weird. I was so hyped for this because at the time I didn't have a G1 type Jazz, so I wanted this and I don't hate it, but I don't like it either. It's pretty thin and kind of floppy, even if the joints were tight, and he's yellowing on mine on the palm plastic. I need you to just listen to this. Part of that's the wheels, and part of that's the lower legs just moving. Like, I'm gonna hold the hip, and look at how much they move. Look at the play. Every copy of the toy I've messed with has look. That's a lot of play in the joint. That's transformation hinge. That's insane. I also don't have his weapon or his hand because yes, he was a combiner segment. But yeah, he isn't great. The clear parts do break very easily on loads of people, myself included, and his torso comes off a lot. But part of that is also due to it being very well played with. I messed with this thing so much during like high school / college because it was kind of like a comfort figure. You know, you have those like items or toys that you mess with just to like a comfort toy. Like it's comfort food or movie or band when something goes wrong or just weird, you want to mess with it. That was this guy for me for a while. So I have a soft spot for this. He still sucks though. Okay, this was a huge downgrade from the Reveal the Shield one when it comes to its articulation because it's missing a lot, but it also has a lot that you can't access, sort of. So the head is on a ball joint, it can rotate, it can tilt, it can look down, it can look up, like you have all of that still. The shoulders, they can do a full 360 and they can go out on this weirdly designed joint, which does get really loose over time. Like, come on. Oh, it did it earlier. Was it this arm? I can't remember. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, it's not the greatest. Ball jointed elbows, so it allows for an elbow bend and a swivel. He does have a wrist swivel. That is a mushroom peg, but because of this panel doesn't fold away. It doesn't work, and I think that might have been the original intent was for this panel to fold up so that you could access the wrist swivel, but they might have had to cut it due to a budget thing because he's a combining limb, so I don't know, but there's that. You have to move the backpack out of the way slightly to access the waist, because otherwise this hugs so much that the waist doesn't actually work, but he does have a waist joint. Oops, and there goes the torso. Get back together. Oh, now the whole thing's come apart. Hips are on ball joints. They can go forward that far. They can go back if you move the backpack out of the way. They can go out that far. You do have thigh rotation, 90-degree bend at the knee, and then there's that play in the thing, and then the ankles, the toes can move up. That's about it. Not the most posable thing in the world. Definitely not something that I mess with currently anymore. So now we get on to the juicy ones. The ones that are super nice, with one exception. 86 Jazz wasn't the best when it came out because of COVID materials, clear plastic cracking, yellowing, etc. But since then, it has been slowly improved with Jackpot and then Knockout and then Orange Jazz, and now this, the box set version. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because I've already done a video on the whole 5-pack, but I really like this version a lot. To me, this is the best G1 Jazz car toy that you can get officially. But then Mark had to hit us with Origins Jazz. This is my favorite Jazz I own. It is so cool. He's also very compact and dense, and the plastic feels pretty damn good. Like, the hand feel of this dude is very nice, seeing that it's like a small deluxe. He also has a lot of paint on him, like the feet, the gray on the shins, the entire chest, the face, and the blue all over the figure. That's a lot of paint. It does mean be careful though. I did drop this the other day while writing this, and it did chip slightly. I blame myself because I dropped it, and it feels durable enough in play, but it is still something to be careful about. He also comes with a gun and a grappling hook, which is blast effect compatible, so yay! I love it when you can get a figure to a good like one leg pose. Anyways, Jazz's articulation, well, this Jazz's articulation is pretty interesting. It's a lot better than the previous two we looked at, and 86 is a tiny bit better than this, but it's still pretty fun. So for starters, you have an out of focus. Come on, there we go. The head, again, ball joint. You get some nice tilt, some down and up rotation. Shoulders can do a full 360. You also have a slight butterfly joint. You have in and out bicep rotation, 90 degrees of elbow bend. Nothing at the wrist, unfortunately. You do have a waist joint, which goes about that far, and then if you move the backpack, you can get it to go even further. But it goes pretty far without having to move the backpack, which is nice. Take that power of the primes. Legs can go forward, they can go back, they can go in and out. Again, the backpack needs to move out of the way just a little bit to get them to go out. You do have thigh rotation, and they did also like cover the thigh swivel gaps. That's kind of cool. You don't see that very often. A little bit under 90 degrees of bend at the knee, which is a little disappointing. And then the ankle tilt and the toe can move down. So yeah, of the four robot-wise, I really like Origins. And Power of the Primes is easily the least interesting one here, but do their vehicle modes elevate that at all? So for the sake of my sanity and your sanity, I'm going to skip 86 because I've already done a video on this. And everybody should know how this works by now. So we'll start with these three. Well, by start, I mean we'll do this idiot first. Probably the most interesting transformation because of like the automorph and stuff. So to start with, we're going to collapse the legs first by folding up the feet. Now, one thing you may notice, see this stress mark right here on both of them? Yeah, that's from when you push the feet out past where they're supposed to go. So please don't do that. Make sure they sit flat and don't push them any further than this without also moving the heel, because it presses up on this bit underneath here and it will stress the feet out. I did that the first time I bought it, so don't make that same mistake. But you fold the feet up, then you collapse the legs in on themselves just like so. Get that rotated there. Peg it together. Peg it, there we go. Peg it together and then just sort of leave it. Now we're going to do the upper torso. So get the doors out of the way, then fold up the chest. It'll flip the head in, bring up the windshield, and just collapse this entire assembly together and clip it in. There we go. Once that's in, I'm going to get the arms in place. So you're going to want to fold the arms back like this. And then there's a tab and a slot here, and they kind of have to fold in together at the same time to fit that entire thing into place. There we go. Get the hood lined up. Then you fold the arms in and then shut the doors. And then it will peg into the back section like that. And there we have, whoops, the arms come out. And there we have Reveal the Shield Jazz. Now his weapon storage is pretty neat. You can take his gun and it collapses and then it pegs in underneath the front end and it's completely hidden. Power of the Primes time, yay. So to start with him, you fold up his feet, get all this sort of situated here. And then we're going to take this entire assembly and open it up, push the head in, fold this out and unfold it. Now before you clip the hood into place, you want to first get this section lined up, then you can click the whole hood into place.
Then we collapse this section back, bring this down, and peg the arm into place. Just like that. You can't really see it on camera, but the hips, the fists, and the combining peg are so yellowed in person. Now you want to open the legs up and just sort of collapse them down and into this. Oops. The legs are coming apart. It's because I'm doing this out of order. Before you clip the arms in, you fold the legs up. But first, you put the leg back together. There we go. Now we've got it. Then you clip the thing in. Then you clip the arms around. And that's your Le Mans car kind of thingy. Yay. Origins is really, really fun. So to start with, you fold the feet up. There's one thing that pegging together the whole alt mode is a bit strange, but I'll show you. You fold the fists in, you flip up the chest piece, and then you bring the arms down, and then you want to open up the legs. There we go. And flip out these panels. Now this is where, oh, come on. Come on. This is where it becomes tricky. So you want to accordion the legs in, making sure the arms are out of the way. Accordion the legs in and close this section up. And then peg it together. Now you want to make sure the arms are rotated so that the fists are facing out, because then they'll peg into the legs. There's a little tab slot connection right there. That'll lock everything into place. Now there's a port there, a peg there, and then it has to also latch into this. So we're going to first bring this down. I find it's easier to bring this entire roof assembly and peg that in first. So you just sort of clip it all together, and then you clip these in at the side and just sort of force everything to line up. And then something will pop out. But eventually you get vacuum cleaner. Now, you can store the grappling hook. It does store into a peg underneath the alt mode. The gun just kind of goes wherever, though. I leave it at the back here so that it's like out of the way.
That's a pretty diverse range of alt modes. You have car, and shoe. Jokes aside, I like these alt modes quite a bit. I don't think there's a single flaw with any of them. Well, maybe Origins just sitting on its like painted chest and arms bit just hanging out there, and the paint matching on each one. The palm to ABS color matching isn't the best on all of them. Camera's struggling to pick it up, but on box set 86 Jazz, it does it the best because it doesn't have any clear plastic to like paint over, and a lot of the outside is ABS. Origins in 2012, it's very noticeable, and Power of the Primes is yellowing, so I can't really tell what is original anymore. But I do vibe with all of these alt modes. But as a whole, Origins is my favorite, followed closely by the 86 box set version specifically, and then 2010, and then Power of the Primes. But what's your favorite? Let me know in the comments, because I would love to hear about that. If you needed to pick up a Jazz, the easiest one to get would probably be Origins, because he was like everywhere and he's a single release. I think the best one to get for like a G1 collection would probably have to be the 86 box set one. If you can get it separately or get the box set and sell the rest of them off if you don't want them. Generations 2010 is just a cool 2010 figure, and then Power of the Prime should be at like the bottom of your list. But that's my look at all these different Jazzes. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you next time. Whoa, hiccup. Bye-bye.